Today I want to speak directly to a conversation that has gained attention. One that features Prince Mashele, who boldly declared that South Africa should never have taken Israel to the International Court of Justice. He called it idiotic. He questioned our strategic thinking. He reduced an international legal case, one about human rights and possible genocide, to trade risks and American disapproval.
South Africa should never have taken Israel to the International Court of Justice. Never.
Mm-hmm. So I want us to respond to him calmly, clearly, and firmly.
And I'll explain why. Number one, that conflict that is going on between Palestine and Israel is a very old conflict.
Yes.
The idea that Cyril can sort it out by taking Israel to the because what do you get ultimately? Here's the thing. There is something called strategy, and there's something called tactics. Strategy is the end goal. What do you get after doing everything else that you have done? What do you get? That is strategy. Tactics. Which route do I take to get what I want? So tell me, what did South Africa want to get by taking Israel to the international? What do you get?
Nothing.
It's idiotic. It's an idiotic strategy. So that's number one.
Mr. Mashele's view is that taking Israel to the ICJ is idiotic because it lacks strategic value and achieves nothing. That is his view. On the contrary, Mr. Mashele, the strategic value of the case is immense because South Africa has reaffirmed its global leadership on human rights, a legacy rooted in the anti-apartheid struggle. Second, we have elevated the Palestinian issue on the global stage through a legal platform compelling Israel to answer for alleged genocide. Thirdly, we have strengthened multilateralism and the international rule of law by using the ICJ rather than armed conflict or unilateral sanctions. Mr. Mashele, this isn't just about what we get. It is about what kind of world we want to build. Because silence in the face of alleged genocide is complicity. Action, even without immediate material reward, shapes global moral consensus and justice norms. You should know that as a journalist and also as a political analyst.
Number two, Palestine is an Arabic society. It's surrounded by Arab neighbors, Egypt, Lebanon, you can name them, right? When there's fire in a house next door, who helps first?
And the neighbors.
The neighbors.
Yes.
It's not a guy who's going to come from a neighboring village
to put out the fire.
No, it's the neighbor.
Yes.
Yeah. Why are the neighbors not taking Israel to the international?
Interesting
Why?
point.
Why?
Point.
Why is Palestine jumping over the neighbors to come to the southern tip of Africa to say, take this case to the international? Why? Why are the neighbors? Why is Egypt not doing it?
Interesting.
Now, that's what I call thinking.
Yes.
Cyril and his bunch can't think.
Mr. Mashele's view is that Arab countries like Egypt and Lebanon, who are closer to Palestine, should have taken Israel to court. He thinks that their silence means South Africa should stay out. That is a flawed analogy. Why? Because the geographical proximity of a country to a conflict does not dictate its legal or moral responsibility. If this were true, then nations like Norway or Sweden should stay out of African conflicts. If that were true. Egypt and others may be constrained by domestic political instability, military agreement with Israel, or US foreign aid dependencies. On the other hand, South Africa, as a free and sovereign nation, made a principled decision based on its constitution, which calls for the promotion of human rights, dignity, and justice both at home and abroad. South Africa did not act because Palestine asked. We acted because the values enshrined in our constitution demanded action. You understand that?
If anybody came to me as a leader of South Africa and said, take Israel to the International Criminal Court, I would say, okay, tell me, why are the neighbors not going? Yeah. They are not going because they did not want to injure their national interests. Yeah. So South Africa ran there as a bunch of idiots to injure their own national interests. That's why now we are a target of the US. We have made ourselves the target of the US because we are stupid.
Prince Mashele's view is that this move risks angering the United States, harming trade, and leading to job losses. Prince Mashele, that's not true. Foreign policy must balance principle and pragmatism. South Africa has for years managed relations with countries like China, Russia, United States, and Iran through diplomacy, even amid tensions. History shows that standing for what is right carries long-term benefits. In the 1980s, countries that sanctioned apartheid South Africa harmed their short-term trade but stood on the right side of history. South Africa is standing on the right side of history here as well. The ICJ case is not anti-Semitic or anti-Israel. It is a legal challenge to specific state conduct under international humanitarian law. Understand it. It is false to frame justice for Palestinians as a direct threat to United States relations. It is false. Because even many Americans, including Jewish Voices and human rights groups, support this legal process. So where do you come with your analogy? Think again.
The Israeli lobby controls power in the US.
True.
Yeah. So once you get into that space, you must know what you are going to do when those big powers start pummeling you. And South Africa now is being pummeled. And let me tell you who the victims will be ultimately, by the way. And this is extremely important. The victims of all this chaos that Cyril has created between the US and America will be employees who have jobs in companies here in South Africa. Let me give you an example. BMW exports an X5 hybrid. A lot of those cars go to the US. Once they did what Trump has done to us, the BMW will have to downsize in Roslyn because these cars, if we continue to export them to the US, they will be more expensive. The Americans won't buy them. They will buy locally manufactured cars in the US.
Yeah.
It means that the worker here in the north of Pretoria is going to lose a job because of Cyril Ramaphosa. Let's simplify this so that people get it.
Yeah.
There will be someone who's going to lose a job here in Pretoria and in PE, Gqeberha, Volkswagen.
Yeah.
Someone is going to lose a job there because of Cyril Ramaphosa's stupidity. Full stop.
Mr. Mashele's view that workers at companies like BMW will lose jobs because of deteriorated US trade. No, that is not true. That's not true, Mr. Mashele. There is no evidence yet that the United States will impose economic sanctions on South Africa because of a legal filing at the ICJ, a body the US itself recognizes. Even if pressure arises, economic diplomacy, not silence, is the remedy. South Africa has managed economic friction before. During the Zuma and post-apartheid eras, without ceding its moral voice. Why must we cede that now? No, we're not going to do that. What about the millions of Palestinians who have lost jobs, homes, limbs, and lives under occupation? What about them? Do their rights not matter in your economic calculus? Human rights cannot be bartered for temporary economic comfort. Our economic future must be rooted in ethical foundation. Must be rooted in an ethical foundation. South Africa, born from the ashes of apartheid, is one of the few nations with the moral and historical authority to recognize and respond to injustice. By leading this case, South Africa reclaims the global anti-apartheid mantle. South Africa aligns with the Constitution and global humanitarian law. South Africa proves that even a smaller nation can have a loud voice in matters of global justice. Prince Mashele's view reduces global justice to transactional diplomacy and short-term economic fears. But South Africa has never been built on fear. It has always been built on courage, justice, and vision. Taking Israel to the ICJ is not just about Palestine. It is about the future of international law, the integrity of the Genocide Convention, and South Africa's place in the world as a voice for the voiceless. In this moment, South Africa chose to stand on principle. That is not idiocy. That is leadership. So to those who are still asking, what do we get? This is what I say unto you. We get to lead. We get to inspire. We get to remind the world that morality still matters and that South Africa is not just a name on the map, but a voice in the conscience of humanity. Thanks for staying with me. Until next time, stand firm, stand proud, and never be afraid to choose justice.